Good day to everybody in South Africa, all our citizens and our members and our supporters. This is Diane Creer from #HOPE4SA. We know there's been so much controversy over the Bela bill, but at this stage, I would imagine that most of you actually have heard the points on the Bela bill. And I think what's important to realize is that throughout the thread of the Bela bill, there appears to be a move of what the so-called ANC government calls transformation, in taking away the authority of both parents and teachers and educators and handing it over to heads of department, to ministers and to the government. This is what we are seeing as a thread that seems to or appears to be going through. We have to remember, as we sit here today, that the ANC has governed this country for approximately 3 decades. In that time, we've seen brain drain, we've seen private businesses closed, we've seen state businesses closed, we've seen our education system absolutely go downhill with a 30% pass rate. Would you really want to employ somebody who only knows 30% of the work they need to do for you? The curriculum has been changed. Subjects such as comprehensive sexual education has been added. There's been a push for gender-neutral facilities, whilst things like rape and abuse is rife in our country, and this gender-neutral facility push will only put young people into a position when they are more vulnerable. There's been pregnancies, there's been rapes, there's been woke agendas that is promoted. There's been a general collapse of a healthy society. We've seen this, we've lived it. Those of us who've been here long enough, we have seen it go downhill. Irrespective of creed, color or culture, you have seen what it has done to your families. Now the same government has effectively been voted back into power. Yes, they lost the majority. They came in at just under 40%. So they started the GNU, the Government of National Unity. 11 other parties joined them, of which are the DA, the Patriotic Alliance, Inkatha Freedom Party, Good Party, Pan-African Congress of Azania, Freedom Front Plus, FF Plus, the United Democratic Movement, Al-Jamaa and Rise Mzansi. Yet they appear to be passing bills as if they are still the majority, with little or no kickback from these other parties. Oh, there were some threats, but those threats were quickly drawn back again. The threats were quickly said, well, oh no, we can't do this. We can't walk out of the GNU. We can't go against them. We have to stay with them. We have to be the ones that make the difference. But they aren't making a difference. How do you feel out there, the supporter, the citizen, that supported these parties, that said they would never, ever stand with the ANC, and now they are bowing down, it appears, to the ANC, with very little pushback? Yes, there is some. We know there's some, but very little. You know, DA started the multi-party charter, or as they aptly named it, I think, the Moonshot Pact. And they made a loud noise about opposing the ANC, about standing together in unity and pushing the ANC out. These people and others are now in bed with the ANC. If you voted for one of these, what is your feeling right now? I trust your eyes have opened. I trust that you will realize that when the 2026 municipal elections come around, you need to choose and choose wisely, because most of the parties, the smaller parties but impactive parties like us, who almost got 28,000 votes in just over 4 months, we are still on the outside waiting to move in, to be the difference, to make the difference. And we can do that in your municipalities, in your communities, so that you can see this negative impact on the spirituality, the physical, intellectual, and emotional status of your children turned around for good, with godly given rights of safety, security, and liberty once again installed or given to you, and the ability to self-govern on a community basis towards a better South African for all. Note that the emphasis on the Bela bill appears to be on transformation and equality through all the rules and laws they've made, and I'm going to be putting out a written statement that will list all of those for you. But through all of those, they appear to push on transformation. What transformation are they looking at? What is it? Is it to progress positively, or is it to break down and control and manipulate and have power over? And what equality? At what cost? Are we meant to be that equal, or are we meant to be a diverse population with a beautiful kaleidoscope of colors, of skills, of abilities that come together, all the tribes and tongues of our nation, showing respect to each other while capitalizing on our diverse talents, abilities and skills to grow our economy, to build solid communities that can develop, self-motivate, manage and sustain, whilst reaching a hand of needed support and motivation and education to others who need it, so that they can become self-sustaining and strategically and systematically build themselves, so that we can build an SA where people can become autonomous according to their beliefs, values, skills and ability, whilst showing empathy, respect and neighbourly love across creed, culture and colour lines. On the upside, by indicating that they want to push schools to one language, well, that could get communities that are like-minded to cluster together to build themselves, to become autonomous and then reach out and help others. So maybe there's a positive and upside to that. But it's important to note that the government is giving authority over to heads of department so that they can push back against educators and parents who have the right to govern and to raise children accordingly. Parents have the right to be the authority over their children, nobody else. And teachers in schools that are passionate, they are given that authority from the parents through the governing bodies. And the place of the government is only to support it. It is communities and churches that should raise children, not government bodies. So in terms of the new Bela bill as well, where there are minors on the governing body, they're not allowed to vote in anything. They aren't even allowed to vote towards the next teacher they want. The funny thing is those same children at the age of 12 are allowed to make a decision without their parents' consent, and if they don't want counselling, they don't have to have it, but can make a decision, they can make a decision to abort their beautiful baby. And you know what? Abortion is a terrible thing because it's death. We are the only mammals on earth that do that. But take away that and look at how it destroys our young girls and our young boys, our young adults, how it brings emotional and mental destruction over time, because you don't kill your own and not suffer from it in dreams as you go on. And every time you look at somebody else's baby, or when you eventually do have a child of your own, remember the child that you aborted. These things are negative on our children. School-going age, according to psychology, is only 7. They want to push our children in at 4 and 5. Why do they want to do that? That's the parents' responsibility. Our children should be at home for as long as possible so that their norms and their social norms are integrated into them. The ANC shows through their so-called transformational changes that they are undermining the God-given authority of you, the parent, to raise your child, and the ability of primary, secondary and tertiary educators to run the education institutions under the guidance of school governing bodies to the best interests of the learners and the community. You, the grandparents and the parents and the communities, you are the ones who can stand up. You need to be the majority and stop the implementation of these changes and rules before our next generation is destroyed. Already we sit with more anxious and stressed out young youths than ever before. And this is only going to impact more negatively, causing more confusion, more division, and ultimate destruction of our youth. We need to choose to be the difference. Otherwise, we are guilty of not supporting and undergirding our youth into strong, emotionally strong, physically strong, spiritually strong adults who can add to the economy and build solid citizens for our country, and be intellectually, spiritually, physically and mentally healthy. #HOPE4SA is a governance party called to stand in the gap to save South Africa and its people by ushering in godly governance which promotes righteous morals, ethics and choices to the benefit of all South African citizens. Be the change you want to see. Support our government, our municipal elections in 2026. It's around the corner. You can make a difference. And until then, your voice adds to another voice and another voice and another voice until the government and those parties that have failed you will have to stand up and listen. This is Diane Creer, Secretary Servant of #HOPE4SA. We are the voice. We will be the voice. We will be the light in the darkness that's threatening our children. But you can stop this by being wise, educated, and acting now using your talents, skills, and abilities, and we will stand with you. Thank you for listening. Have an amazing day.